Old soul, young world.
But when it's of true positive nature and manifestation,
Old souls, young souls, and all my damn souls in between.
search deeper, dive deeper, and be like, yo,
Old soul, young world. Old souls, young souls, and all my damn souls in between. Welcome back to another week of Old Soul in the Young World with your host, Jessie Elly. Ooh, guys, is lit. Ooh, look at that flow coming out of this bottle. It is lit this week. And I think this bottle knows that we have a very special guest on the show. We have one of the hottest Latina artists in Boston, a model, a body positive advocate, and so much more. But she is a beautiful soul on the inside and out. Welcome to the show, La Rosa or Yelena Rodriguez.
Thank you so
Hey,
much.
how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am so good. This has been such a long time coming. I'm just so excited to have you here. You're like glowing, so I'm very excited.
I appreciate that.
Yes. Can I pour a little bit of champagne for you?
Please.
Perfect.
Thank you. I love the cup.
Thank you.
So cute.
And you know, La Rosa, I will give you a chance just to let people know, like, who are you out here? What do you do? Where are you from? And all that.
Yeah, of course. So I again, my name is La Rosa, or Yelena. I used to go, Yelena is my birth name, and I used to use that name a lot, obviously, as my stage name. But La Rosa is this, I would say, like, this new persona. It's literally like, you know, think about Beyonce and Sasha Fierce.
Yes.
Or think about Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo,
Yes.
or, you know, all the...
Or I think about, like, Nicki Minaj. What's her personality?
I forget.
Like Roman?
Something
Or
like that.
Yeah, like it's your
pink.
other side.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
it's like my other side. And I feel like this name pretty much came about because of the rebrand that I've been doing all this year. Like, I didn't really release that much music at all this year, only because, and it wasn't on purpose. It was just like, I think I was going through so much as a person, like evolving, learning, and just really tapping into what I really wanted to do when it came to my music and the type of person that I would like to showcase, you know, to the world. And so there was a song that one of my colleagues wrote me titled La Rosa. And then that's when I really, you know, and people who know my brand, I'm really big about the rose. The red rose is one of my favorite flowers, or in general, like roses in general.
Yes.
But I always, you know, typically always use a red rose, like on my brand, or even when I text people and stuff like that, I always use like the red, you know, the rose emoji. And so, yeah, so my colleague, you know, he wrote me this song and stuff like that. And that's when I really, like, I don't know, I really kind of just put two and two together. And I feel like, I was like, you know, I think come next year, moving forward, I'm going to go by this name, you know, like people can still identify, you know, call me Yelena, or, you know, if they want to say my full name and stuff like that. But La Rosa is literally, you know, I guess you could say, like, the metaphor of really who I am as the artist in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And of course, it's still the same people too.
Right.
So
that's so beautiful. And I just have to say, like, it's very, it's so funny because we had never talked about this before. My favorite color is red and my favorite flower is a rose. And
that's
like,
crazy. Yeah.
I literally have always identified, when I was little, like, all my dolls, I would name them Rose. I would it was like, I don't know, just something I've always carried. Do you feel like it has some type of personal or inner symbolism, like, to you?
Yeah,
Was there,
I would say so.
what do you feel like that came from, besides like the friend making a name in the song? Was there like something from childhood or something that made you identify to like roses?
My biggest thing is, I think it was Selena for me.
Ooh,
because
girl.
yeah,
Yes.
when watching the movie, and even like when you look at her logos, she always has the rose attached to her name. And I know if those who watched like the movie, towards the end of the movie, there's like a white rose that falls onto the stage, and they always use that with her for whatever reason being. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And so I always was like, oh, that's such a pretty flower. And then the more and more I looked into the roses and like how that flower specifically is, like, as people know, like, roses has thorns on them.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
So I feel like I can relate so much to the rose because I am someone who's, you know, very, I would say, soft, very beautiful, you know, who's tapping into their divine feminine. And I feel like the rose is definition of that.
Yes.
And also I'm someone
That's
that is protected,
fire.
just like the rose. Like, you know, like
Wow.
I'm very beautiful, but like you have to handle me with care.
Correct.
In
Yeah.
a sense, right? Because roses are, I think they're very easy to die.
Yeah.
Just
they
like
are.
any other plant.
Yeah. Like if you cut them, it's like they start withering within like minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, in a sense, like relating that to a person, if you start to like abuse that person or take advantage of them in any way,
Right.
or try to dim their light, like that's just how I look at it as, and that's how I
It's beautiful.
can relate, especially with everything some things I've gone through in life up until now.
Wow.
So yeah.
I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for, you know, even opening up about that on Old Soul Young World. Like that's
Yeah.
what we're here to talk about, like that depth of who we are beyond your physical, beautiful body. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? What is inside you that makes you La Rosa? And I feel like also when you're touching upon like roses having thorns, like that is so in itself symbolic, because it's
Yes.
like we all have those thorns on ourselves, whether it's spiritual,
Yes.
mental, physical,
Exactly. Yes.
that we have to, you know, grow out of, like a rose from the concrete. Like we have to
Exactly. Yes.
continue on no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also one of the things that is so like spiritually correlated between me and you that like I didn't even know that you've been rebranding for a year.
I have.
That
pretty
you've
much.
been mastering a craft.
Yeah.
And like me, which is so funny because I haven't put out shows for a year.
Yes. And we
Because
talked about it.
yes, because I've been rebranding, I've been mastering a craft. And I think it's okay. And I wonder how you would, you know, put this in your words, but like I feel like people put pressure on themselves that they can't take a break when they're an artist,
Mm-hmm.
that they have to keep pushing content, putting things out, constantly being out there, like to the point where over the last year, I had gotten down at points because I'm like, oh, I'm not putting things out as consistently as I was. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to step back. If I didn't take a chance to step back, we wouldn't even be here talking right now. Do you feel like there were some parts of you not putting music out this year where you were able to tap deeper into like, I don't know, even music wise, like things you want to put out for 2024? Or,
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, because I don't know. So for those who don't know, I started my music career, you know, literally like early 2020 was the first time I released my first song.
Oh my gosh, so you're recent.
Yeah, I'm very new to this.
Did you sing when you were little?
Oh yeah, I sing all the time.
Okay,
yeah. I started singing when I was 7 years old.
Wow.
I started writing songs when I was 8, quote unquote writing songs. But yeah, so music has always been a part of my life. I also did the choir when I was very young, like young up until like high school. So music always has been a part of my life, but I didn't really start to really like my music career, or was able to, I guess you could say, when I graduated college.
Yeah.
So like 2020, you know, like I said, I released my first song. And the thing is, when I thought about the type of music I would want to put out, I'm a very soulful person, you know, like I love music that just feels like it could just hit you, you know, to the core. And so when I think about, okay, like what kind of music do I want to put out? I wanted to put out music like that. Like I wanted to put out music that was deep. But then I also really started to tap in more into like, you know, other artists who are soulful in my opinion, but also like will put out music that's like upbeat and that's lively and that's full of energy, but it also has a bit of soul to it. Like it's also deep if you really like listen to the lyrics, right?
Right.
Like one person I can think of top of my head who is a very old school Latin artist. He's Puerto Rican artist. His name is Hector Lavoe. Like if you listen to his type of music, it's very lively, right? Because it's like salsa, but at the same time,
but the words are so deep.
Yes, they're very
You can feel
deep.
like even without me speaking full Spanish, I can literally feel it in my soul. I'm like,
exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. So that's where with the rebrand, that's what I really like I told myself, I was like, we need to really start making music like that, because that is the music we want to make.
Yeah.
And so when I started, I feel like, you know, I was kind of like putting myself in the R&B realm.
Yeah.
But I always felt like, no, I don't want to just be an R&B artist. Like,
right.
you know, like I like R&B, but I want to add my Latin style to it, you know, because I am Latina. I'm Cuban-Dominican. So why wouldn't I not be making music that's like Latin style, but mixed with soul or R&B or however you want to call it. I call it soul though.
And when you started singing, when you
It's okay.
started singing, did you ever have a period where you were singing in English and then you switched over?
Yeah. Yeah, I started singing. I started putting out music. Like I said, my first song that I put out, which was titled On My Own, that's all in English. After that, I ended up putting out this song. I was just like for the fun of it, called Sugar Daddy Love. That's in English.
Okay.
And then after Sugar Daddy Love, that's when I actually put out music in Spanish for the first time. And then that's when I really started to realize from other people that they really liked how I sing in Spanish. Like some people would even tell me, like, honestly, Yelena, like I feel like you sing better in Spanish than in English, which is understandable. I agree. I mean, I think I sing good either in English and Spanish, but definitely when you're singing in other languages, I guess from what others have told me, they can feel more of the emotions, which I totally get that, you know?
Definitely, yeah.
So that being said, you know, the beginning of this year, I was so hyper focused on wanting to put out my first EP ever. And it was all going to be in English, a little bit of Spanish.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so off track of what you've been putting out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was literally going to be, and it was kind of like an R&B feel too. But eventually, like I would say probably later in the summer was when everything changed.
Okay.
And that was when I really like started to realize, like, you know what? I really need to like I remember someone asked me, they're like, what kind of artist do you see yourself? Or like what's the mission?
Yeah.
Like what's the why? Like why like what kind of music you really want to put out? And when I was working on the EP, like I literally finished all the 4 songs and everything, which I don't regret.
Yeah.
But and even when I started working with my friend who's now my publicist, even when she listened to the whole song, she's like, I don't know, girl, you have this, you know, something needs to be done to it. Something needs to be fixed. And I was like kind of upset about it at first.
Right.
But now I got it, because when I thought about that question of like, okay, what's the why? Or like, what is it the music I want to put out? That's when I was like, you know what? She was right. They were right. I don't want to honestly, I don't want to put out this type of EP. I don't want to put out music anymore that sounds not like sad, but like, I want to put out music that really hits to the core, but at least is still lively in some capacity, or has like a good beat to it, like a vibe to it. But but like when you listen to the song and you hear the lyrics, you're like, oh my goodness.
Like there's a meaning that's deeper than just like the surface of it. There's a lot below.
Exactly.
Like actually Diabla, right?
Yes.
Where you just celebrated, I think, your first year anniversary.
I did, yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I remember when you first sent me that music video over text, I was like, damn girl, this is official. You got like a whole like team. It was amazing visually, but also I feel like it taps into what you're saying. Like it gives a little bit of an upbeat vibe. It gives this like,
it does, very
soulful, and then the lyrics are very meaningful, and then the storyline visually goes right with it. So that's amazing.
Exactly.
And, so you say you started singing young. Yes. And I know like now when you're transitioning, you're really mostly singing just in Spanish, doing Latin music. Do you feel like this has given you a chance to tap more into like your roots, your Cuban or Dominican heritage? And like, has that influenced anything now that you've like made this decision to like rebrand and really lock into like that sense of your culture? Yeah.
I would say it definitely has. Like it definitely makes me more, I don't know. I don't want to say more proud of my culture, because I've always been proud to be, you know, Cuban-Dominican. Never had a problem with that, because why would I?
Why would you? What? Blessed.
But it's definitely like, like, I don't know. It's made me want to learn more about how these other Latin artists, or even both of my, like, whether they're from Dominican Republic or Cuba or any other part of Latin America, like, you know, how did they start off? How did they start off with their music? What did they sing about? And Hector Lavoe, like the artist that I just mentioned, I watched his movie recently, and his story really touched me because, you know, his lyrics were very deep, right? Yeah. And unfortunately, his life ended very soon. I think he died of, AIDS, unfortunately. But I identified so much with him as an artist, because he was the music. He was so soulful and the way he sang, it was just so deep, and it was just like he had so much pain in his voice, but at the same time, it was so like, I don't know,
It's
like
like therapeutic.
yeah, it was like very,
Mm.
yeah, exactly, very therapeutic. And
Yeah.
like with his voice, he could make you dance, he could make you cry, like, and that's the type of artist that I want to become, you know, or
Mhm.
I am evolving into. Like, I
You
want,
definitely are.
yeah, like when people listen to my music, like, I want you to cry. I
Yeah.
want you to feel some sort of emotion, you know, like whether it's happy, sad, mad, or you're listening to, you're like, oh my gosh, like she went through that. Like, that's what
Yes.
I'm, like, that's what I'm going through, you know?
Right.
And I feel like I've done that a little bit with the music I've already released. Like, some people have came to me and said, oh, I listened to this song when I'm going through X, Y, and Z. Or like, I remember one girl that really touched me. There's a song that I put out. It was back in 2020 as well. It was called Pajorcito Mío.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first song that I put out that was in Spanish. And she came to me, I think it was about a year ago. She told me that her sister, who unfortunately passed, you know, rest in peace to her, really listened to my song all the time. And she asked me, like, can I play your song at my sister's wake? And I said, yeah,
oh
of
my
course.
gosh, that just gave me the chills. Like, oh.
Yeah, I know. And it was crazy. Like, I got that message when I was kind of doubting myself, because sometimes I do doubt myself about like the path that I'm on, and
I think
is
we
this all
all
worth
do.
it? Yeah, of course. Like it always
Yeah.
happens, especially a music career. Like, it's not cheap.
For
the amount of
sure.
money I spent.
Girl, the amount of money I spent. Any artist is investing, and if you're not, you're doing it wrong.
No, literally, like I literally, like, you know, I had, like I said, I have my publicist, and me and her, we'd be helping each other out, because, you know, we don't, you know, a lot of people I work with, we don't come from rich families,
Right,
you know,
of
like I
course.
think God was like, nah, honey, you're gonna have to struggle. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
But he does it, you know, very gracefully, like, you know, because that's how you learn to be humble. That's how you learn to appreciate the things that
That's
you know
fire.
you didn't have, and then you'll have later on. You know, like that's just how life goes, and that's how I feel like a lot of people should really learn these kind of things. You know,
Yeah.
like learn that, you know, not everything's gonna, you know, be handed to you, even if
Right.
you're pretty and you have a nice body, or even if you have this, or even if you have that, you know.
Right.
So, but yeah, that being said, like, yeah, when I got that message from this girl, it just really touched my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it makes me emotional sometimes when I think about it, because I'm like, wow, like, okay, so I must be doing something right.
And it shows you too, like, how much of your purpose, like, even though you're a singer, you're a model, whatever people want to label you as,
Mhm.
you are literally making influential change in other
Mhm.
people's lives with your art, with your purpose,
Yeah.
with the words that you're choosing to put out. And I'm sure it wasn't easy for you to get to the point where you're open enough to be like openly sharing content. It's a very vulnerable position. It's
Mhm.
very, you have to open up your heart and your soul, and
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
be willing to be judged, and be willing to have people see your flaws.
Yeah.
And you know, speaking of that, because you know, you are a very I feel like a self-motivational, positive, at least from what I see that you put out
Mhm.
through all of your platforms and just through your music. Do you yourself feel that there was times on this music journey since 2020 when you had so much self-doubt that like you wanted to stop, or you wanted to give up, or maybe even a specific moment that you could re-encounter that you were like, okay, no, this isn't meant for me, but then you pushed on anyway?
Yeah, last year. 2022 was the most toughest years for me. I would say like 2020, like after summer 2020 up until like 2022, those 3 years were very tough for me. Because I was going through a lot. I feel like I started late in life. Like I'm not, you know, I'm very young, I would say, but I'm not like 21 or anything. But
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the things I've experienced up until now, like I kind of experienced them a little bit late. Like, you know, like when it comes to relationships, or even like dealing with things like, let's say like I don't know, betrayal, or like anything like that's
Yes.
major in life that can
Yes.
really create trauma in someone, or create like something in them that may make them change,
Right.
and like be aware of certain things. Like it really happened for me, I feel like very late in a sense.
Yeah.
And of course there were things I went through when I was younger, or even things I see in my family that really also like created trauma for me, but I didn't really realize it until I started going through my own things.
Yeah.
You know, so
trauma healing, it's a real thing, and it takes a while.
No, it does take a while, especially
Yeah.
when you deal with people that actually makes you realize certain things and kind of trigger things, and you know, and you and at the end of the day, people you encounter are sometimes a mirror of you in a sense.
Oof.
You know.
I'm sorry. That I just have to. People that you encounter mirror you. People that you encounter are reflections of you. You know what I mean?
In a sense.
If you're uncomfortable about something about yourself when you're talking to somebody, or I'm sorry, uncomfortable about something about them, reflect on yourself. Why do I feel that way? Mm-hmm. Or if they make you feel really good, why do I feel that way? Humans really are mirrors.
Yeah, they are.
And sometimes it's a cracked mirror where you need to throw that shit out. And sometimes that mirror really helps you see yourself more.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And it kind of helps you identify your shadow self. Like, what is it, the things that,
your shadow self.
Yeah. Like, what are because everyone has a shadow self. Everyone has a bad part of them that, they probably don't want to talk about or they don't really showcase, and there's other people that do showcase that because they're kind of like, I guess you could say, in the dark. So, but that's really what I went through, like from like 2020 up until 2022. And 2022 was where, everything really was bad for me. Like, 2021, winter 2021, I went the first time to the hospital for like anxiety and stuff. And I never did that ever in my life. Like, I'm not someone who, has really dealt with depression like that or anxiety, or my parents didn't really know for me to have anything of that sort, so that was something new for me. And 2022 was when it really got worse. Like, I probably 2021, it was the first time I went to the hospital for it. 2022 was when I went to the hospital, maybe about 2 times or so about that. Yeah. Because it was getting so bad. And I also, 2022, I also was in a relationship with someone where the relationship was very toxic, like worse, like being with that person and prior to the other person that I was with that also was toxic. It just was like, it was like toxicity, like back to back to back. And, and also like,
and then it blurs your vision of yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And I also was dealing with toxicity like in friendships too, it was, and it was a lot of stuff that I was going through. And like, I could take an accountability for, my mistakes and the things that I did wrong or situations that I put myself in. Correct. But at the end of the day, like all those situations kind of really, in a sense, dimmed my light. Yeah. And also kind of put me in a position that I didn't like. Like, I just really, like I said, it got really bad. I was doubting myself a lot. Yeah. I was having a lot of panic attacks. It got to the point where I really felt like I was going to go insane. Yeah. That's really how it felt. Like, not to trigger anyone, who's watching this, but
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, like that's really how it felt. And then the relationship that I was in last year, my ex that I broke up with, like the relationship ended up turning abusive, like mentally and like physically. So it was a lot of things, and all those things really took a toll on me. A lot of people didn't, like a lot of the things I'm talking about now, a lot of people don't really know about it. Except for the people that are close to me, my family, of course. But, it really took a toll on me. And I was shocked to see that I was still able to work on my music and stuff. But even then, inside I was always doubting myself, and I was always questioning, is this meant for me? Or is it just best for me to just leave this world? Yeah. That's just really how I felt last year. So, because I was just in a dark place, really internally and mentally. Externally, you probably didn't see it. Maybe you did. If you were there, but there are times where people probably didn't know, what I was going through or how I was feeling or the thoughts I was having.
Right. Just because physically on the outside, you're not seeing the scars, you're not seeing the tears, or you're not seeing the stress, the anxiety, the depression.
Exactly.
Because you're able to be resilient. But at the same time, there's those moments when you're alone and you're reflecting and you're on your own, and it's like, how do I continue?
Exactly.
And it becomes that uphill battle of literally retraining your mind to start understanding and appreciating honest awareness of, I have a purpose and I am meant to be here. And I feel like I just I'm trying not to cry because we are so mirror reflective of each other. Like everything that you just said you were struggling with, I was struggling with. You know what I mean? There's situations that I have just come to terms with stepping away from that were causing me mental, emotional, and physical abuse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things that were not allowing me to continue to fulfill my purpose. Things that were making me so self-doubting that I stopped doing poetry. I stopped doing art. I stopped, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
get that, yeah.
and then there's that reset and the rebrand that we talk about. And I would love you to continue, but I just want to say that the strength it takes to even talk about these things is so admirable. And thank you so much, La Rosa, for being able to tap into your vulnerability and let people know, like, it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside. It doesn't matter who you are, what color, what shape, what size, what age, what anything. We are all going through internal struggles. And there are people that will take advantage of souls that have a lot to give and souls that have a very bright purpose. And sometimes other people dim shine because they don't know how to handle their own shine.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think you're a perfect example from what you said. It's like people want to stop you because you are so powerful. People want to quiet you because your voice is so resilient. But once you realize and you get past that little point in the mountain, you're like, okay, no, I'm still going to make this music. I'm still going to put myself out on social. I'm still going to do what I have to do. Something switches in your brain. And I feel like it helps you to appreciate more of why you're supposed to be here. And I'm still trying to figure that out. So you just opening up about it helped me right now. So thank you. I just want to say that.
No, of course. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I don't know, like sometimes there's people that are like, oh, you know, don't talk so much about what you've gone through, or, you know, don't be so vulnerable because, you know, there are people out there that may take advantage of that. But I'm like, I don't care.
Yep.
Like, you know, like I really don't care, because at the end of the day, with everything that I've gone through, like I said, like it was really bad to the point, like I said, where I really felt like maybe my time on this earth was best for it to end soon. Like that's how I felt last year. But a part of me always told myself, like, no, but like we haven't really like finished our mission yet. Like we haven't, like we're just starting, you know? Like that's what I told myself all the time.
Talking from my heart right now, literally. And so when you got to the point within your anxiety and your depression that you came to this acceptance of like, okay, now I'm going to continue. What did you do? Were there habits that you changed? Were there things that you changed in your physical or emotional life that allowed you to distance yourself from certain things and then continue? I
think for me, it's just that it was God himself that really like took me out of the situation. Especially with my situation, my ex, like I'm a person where I don't really like to give up on things. Yeah. Especially on people, and
us old souls are committed, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like
we committed gals.
No, exactly. Like I'm the type of person where like too, like because I was doubting myself so much, I kept blaming myself for what was going on in the relationship. Right. And I kept blaming myself for other things with other people, like, oh, this is why so and so doesn't talk to me anymore, or this is why I'm not loved, or like it was a lot that I was blaming myself for. So I kept trying to like figure out ways to fix the issue, when at the end of the day, the issue wasn't me, you know? Yes. And that's what I've come to realize. Like, again, like I'm the type of person where I'll keep myself accountable and I'll say if I did something wrong. Yes. Even if I really don't want to talk about it, or if it's nerve-wracking to talk about it, but at the end of the day, I will try my best to like mention that, because at the end of the day, I know I'm not perfect. Right. At the end of the day, I know I've made mistakes, you know?
But you know you can be honest, which is a beautiful quality, because most people can't bring themselves to that point.
Right. And again, it's hard. Like I get it. Sometimes I don't want to do it. Sometimes I'll be like, you know what? Like, damn, I don't want to talk about how I messed up and stuff, you know? Right. But I know that about myself. Right. And I dealt with people where it's like they made me question that. Like they made me question if I really was that person. It made me question my integrity, and it made me question like, you know, what my intentions are as a person. Like, and I don't really think I'm not a person that tries to like purposely hurt someone,
Right,
because
right.
I don't have any hatred towards, like, in my heart. Like,
Same.
I wish
Yeah.
that there were times where I wish that I did, especially people that I felt like took advantage.
Yeah. You're just so on point with how I feel because, like, when you just said before, like, oh, people told me don't be as vulnerable. The amount of people that I've had try to tell me how to control my emotions,
Hmm.
don't be so emotional, don't cry so much, don't get so attached, don't be this, don't be that.
Hmm.
Well, guess what? If I wasn't any of those things, if I wasn't willing to talk about my anxiety and depression since I was 13, if I wasn't willing to talk about my self-harm, if I wasn't willing to talk about I've been through suicidal ideations as well,
Hmm.
and beyond that, still trying to be a good person. You know what I mean? And that's really what you're getting to. No matter what you're struggling with, not having hate in your heart, having good intentions, and always carrying high integrity,
Hmm.
that's what pushes you forward. Not
Yeah.
focusing on other people, not focusing on, you know what I
Exactly.
mean? And I think us as women as well, and I will, being a female entrepreneur is not easy,
No, it's
especially
not.
then you're working with a lot of men. There's a
Yeah.
lot of, things that are assumed,
Yeah.
that are not correct.
Hmm.
And especially when you have a very um, well-intended soul and you want other people to be as happy as you, do as well as you don't want to do anybody wrong because you don't want
Hmm.
anyone to do you wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I came to a point, like you said, it's actually funny, same later in life, realized
Hmm.
it took me a long time to understand the concept that not everyone around me was like me. And
Yes.
a big part of my depression when I started to self-harm was because I felt
Mm.
like I didn't belong in this world because I was the only one who was like this. I was the
Mhm.
only one that was this sensitive. I was the only one who cried over everything. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? But coming 10 years later now, over a decade later, to be sitting here talking to you,
Mhm.
hearing you as a beautiful woman, so talented, both of us entrepreneurs, both of us artists,
Mhm.
and think about in common how much internally we've struggled, how much internally we've taken, that we've hid, that we've
Yeah.
held on our shoulders without, hurting anybody else in return.
Yes.
And that in itself, like, I just want to say is beautiful. It's a key to the future of what you're gonna accomplish.
Mm.
But I'm also wondering if now that you've struggled through these and that you're more open to talk about your prior relationships, your mental health, um, and everything else, do you plan to incorporate that into like your story, your message, your music going forward?
Yeah, no, I do. I definitely want to talk about it, and I definitely want to talk about like why I probably put myself in those situations, or like why did things like that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously sometimes like the person I broke up with last year, I didn't really think he was the way he was.
Because we never
Compared,
do. When
right?
somebody's doing you wrong, you don't see it in the moment. And
You
then when
don't.
everything hits you in the face, you're like, wow, was I blind this whole time?
Yeah, I know
Like,
exactly. And I kind of felt like I was like, oh my gosh, like we haven't learned our lesson, because the person before, the person I was with, they were kind of similar to him, but they didn't, they never were physical with me or nothing of that sort, but they were manipulative. They did gaslight me. They did try to control me and stuff like that. But the only difference is that, I really had love and cared for that person, because that person reminded me of, like my father and stuff like that. And some of the things that I kind of
yeah,
dealt with as a kid, that that person reminded me of it. And
of
so the
course.
person I broke up with last year, like it was kind of similar with that with him, but I didn't really, I cared for him as a person. I did have love for him, but I wasn't like in love with him or anything of that sort. But I also felt like he was going to be better than the last person,
Yes.
especially when he knew my situation and all that kind of stuff. And so it really made me, I was like, oh my gosh, like we didn't learn our lesson. Like it's our
Yeah.
fault, and that's where the self blame came from.
Right.
And then other things too, like my ex always like blamed me for things. He's like, well, like it was so much stuff
Yeah.
that is just, it really, like I said, it really took a toll on me.
Hmm.
And it really just really started making me question even more about who I am as a person. And that's why even nowadays I still struggle with imposter syndrome. Like, and sometimes I beat myself down when I make a mistake, or if you know, like something so simple and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I should have listened to what that person said. Like I'm not the type to cross boundaries, so why did I, you know, like
Yes.
it's just and it's like I really this year I really had to learn how to give myself grace
Wow.
because at the end of the day, like I may be so understanding with others and I may not like kind of put the same expectation with others, but others may do the opposite with me.
Yes.
And that's something I've also had to learn too. It's like, okay, well, if you're gonna do that with me, I'm gonna do that with you.
Right. Right.
Just let you know. But at the end of the day, I'm not like you.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
So, but that being said, yes, like this year I had to really learn how to give myself grace.
Yeah.
And be more patient with myself and also be more kind to myself.
Yeah.
And also be how do you say it, embrace the fact that I'm a soft feminine woman,
Right,
you know?
Right.
'Cause
And
a
there's
lot
nothing
of-
wrong with that.
No, there isn't. I
And-
like being soft.
Right, exactly. And when people try to say to us, like, oh, you have to change who you are, blah, blah, blah,
No.
blah, you don't, anybody who's listening in, who somebody has told you to change yourself, like we said about the mirror reflections, it's because they are not accepting of who they are. You are perfect the way you are as long as you are being a kind person, kind to yourself, kind to others, and you're striving for something purposeful. And I feel like, you know, everything you just said, like, I can't even reiterate. It's so funny because I know that somebody in the room while we're taping right now is probably laughing because you are repeating sentences that I have said over the last like 6 months as I've been healing. You know what I mean? Like getting out of something where somebody was telling me all the time, oh, you're this, you're that, putting words in your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so crazy, like how much we can take other people's words and let them live in our hearts, live in our minds, and overpower our souls so much that it becomes us
Yeah.
more than we are ourselves.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, that's that craziest thing. And then when you realize that, I just said the other day, I was crying. I was like, I'm doubting myself. I'm self-doubting myself. I still feel like I'm not good enough. I have
Yeah.
imposter syndrome. I don't feel like I'm able to do this, able to do that. And then when I sit there at the end of the day and I'm like, damn, but I am good enough. You know what I mean? Because even though when I think back on all those things that happened and all those struggles for decades, years, different people, different, you know, like I had a whole team walk out on me for the show. Like I had a lot of things that I could have been resentful, but at the end of the day, why not appreciate, accept yourself and move forward? You know, because if you can't, then me and you wouldn't have got out of bed today. Yeah. And I think that's the thing that people who are listening in need to be more graceful of yourself, because anxiety and depression, self-doubt and negativity, those are things that never cease. You know, it's more how you handle it.
Exactly.
And how you think, how you start retraining your mind to, like you said, be kind to yourself. Yeah. Look at yourself in the mirror every day and say, I'm proud of you for waking up. I'm proud of you for just breathing today, because yesterday you thought you couldn't do it today. And here you are,
yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that story.
Of course.
And I think anybody listening in, whether you're a male or a female, if you've ever been in a negative situation, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, family, because we all know it comes in many shapes and sizes.
Yes.
Don't let other people overtake who you know that you truly are. Like I said, we wouldn't have Yelena's beautiful music today. We wouldn't have everything you're going to be putting out in 2024. And it's okay sometimes to step back. And I think that you're a great example of that. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, no, of course. Thank you. And I appreciate you, you know, telling me your story as well.
Of course. And, you know, I just to transition a little, but still on the same topic with, you know, mental health and positivity and self-love and self-acceptance. You did a big thing this year. You did a big modeling campaign.
Oh, yeah.
With Good American.
Yeah.
With Ashley Graham.
Yeah.
Shout out Khloe Kardashian's brand.
Yeah.
I'm with like some royalty right now over here in La Rosa.
No.
Could you give us a little insight into like the campaign, how you got involved, why you want to get involved, and kind of like what came from that for you?
It was just pretty much information that, you know, my publicist gave to me. So
What's your publicist's name?
Well, I was gonna say with Talia. I call her Talia. Her name
Okay,
is
shout out Talia. I just need to give her a
Yeah.
little shout out.
Yeah, Talia Management is her
Hey.
information. Yeah, she's an amazing friend of mine. She's like a sister to me. Me and her knew each other. We went to school, we went to college together, so that's
Oh,
why we met each other.
awesome. Yeah.
And yeah, me and her, besides being friends, we started really working together. She pretty much became part of my team, I would say, over the summer.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
why that's pretty much when the rebranding started, and all these kind of thoughts and ideas and everything kind of came about, especially with her help, which I'm very grateful for.
Yes.
But and actually I was on the phone with her before coming here, so yeah. But yeah, no, she forget how it happened exactly, but Good American, I forget what month it was, probably like beginning of the fall, they announced that they were like doing like a casting call and stuff like that, but it was like online.
Okay.
So pretty much you just had to like post a video and talk about why you want to be a part of like the good squad is what they said and stuff like that. So I made a TikTok video and all that kind of stuff. And then later on they would have an in-person casting call. So that's pretty much what I ended up doing. And then from there, everything just kind of fall into place. And like, there's still a lot of stuff that I still I'm praying that it will happen when it comes to being part of a company like that.
Oh,
and also like
okay.
other companies.
Yeah.
Because I love working with companies that,
Yeah.
like embrace every sort of type of body and that includes even Rihanna's company, like
Definitely.
Savage Fenty and, all that
I
kind of
could see
stuff.
you there, girl, on that walkway one day. Ooh,
I
girl,
pray.
you better invite me.
No, of course. I got you. No, I pray for that. And the same, like, brands like Skims and stuff like that. So yeah, so that being said, that's pretty much how everything came about.
That's
And
awesome.
I'm very grateful. And it's just the beginning. Like there's still much that needs to be done.
So much that needs to be done.
So-
And so much is gonna be coming.
Yeah, no, I pray for that. But yeah, so it was fun and it was nice. And it was nice to meet the other girls too, I'm not really, I don't know, like when I'm in settings like that, I don't mind meeting new people, but sometimes I'm just kind of like in my own little like kind of like bubble and very like business oriented.
Yeah, no,
that
I feel
sometimes that
you gotta stay focused because you could get,
yeah, exactly,
be floating like mind wise.
Yeah, exactly,
unfocused.
And
yeah.
I'm like that, and I know
Yeah.
sometimes to other people that may come off, I don't know, like as cold or whatever, or off putting, I don't know, or like off. Put
you
aloof,
about
as they
your
call
bag. You about the bag. You go get there, you go get focused.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, it was a good experience. In that company, the CEO, Emma, I forget how you say her last name.
I know, I couldn't pronounce it either. I have it in my notes, but
yeah, but she seems like a very lovely person.
Yeah.
She seems very, very humble and stuff like that. So
and do you
kudos
feel
to her.
Like from that, I know you kind of do modeling yourself anyways already, but is that like a route you're really looking to continue down? Yeah, like that's a goal.
You gotta make money like music. The thing is, when it comes to music, like yes, music, I want it for it to be like, have their, how do I say it? For there to be longevity with it.
Correct.
But as well, I do want to make my how do you say, make my, like, leave my legacy in other places, right?
Right.
And modeling is going to be one of them. Like, I would love to one day, like I said, like model for these brands, even designer brands, or also like create my own type of line. I don't know, like I've always wanted to create my own perfume line, or I'm really into hair, so I really would love to have my own hair care line if it makes sense, or even like nails or even jewelry. Like that's like more so fashion, but still model, so like modeling. But other than that, like that's something that I definitely would love to put more focus into moving forward. And because I've been modeling since I was very young, like since middle school age.
No way,
so,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I've been modeling for a very long time.
Was that out of self want, or was it kind of
I wanted to do it. Like my parents were open to it. They put me into modeling school, also acting school, thank you to them. Because I know it's not cheap.
Shout out the rents always.
No, literally.
Got to.
No, literally. Like, it wasn't cheap, but it was a nice experience, and it definitely helped me, in a sense of like learning about the modeling industry, the fashion industry in general and stuff like that. And obviously, like there are moments where, I didn't know if there would be a place for me. Which I still feel that way, but I feel like no matter what, there will be a place for me in this industry overall.
You know what the beautiful thing is too? Even if there isn't a place for you, you're gonna create that place right there for yourself because nobody is ever gonna be La Rosa. You know what I mean? Like you encompass so many amazing parts and still being a good person, still being vulnerable while dipping into all these different things. Like you are really like, I don't know, like it's going to transcend. It's going to transcend and inspire. And I think also off of everything you do, there's a lot of opportunities for inspiration for young women, especially Latina women. Do you feel that you've kind of seen some of that as you've like continued on with the music modeling? And actually I have to shout you out too for you're part of the Grammy Mentor program.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know, like I feel like that inspires a lot of people as well. How do you continue to aim to inspire, and what are you doing also through that Grammy Mentor program?
Well, I would to answer your first question, like, you know, how do you continue to aim to inspire? I mean, I feel like it just comes down to you being yourself.
Oof.
It sounds cliche.
Can you say that again?
You know, just be yourself.
Be yourself. Be your damn self, please.
Even if yourself is a hot mess, like
be a hot mess. Thank you. Because I feel like a hot mess most days, and then I still am like, girl, you're gonna pull it together. You're gonna go to work. You're gonna do your show. You're gonna do your editing. You're gonna get that shit done.
No,
like,
literally. I mean, I be feeling that day every single day. Like
thank you. Yes.
I just I'm not perfect. Honestly, I am not perfect, and I don't like it when.
So you're not always this put together, Yelena?
Most of the time.
Yes.
I
love that answer.
I'm mostly, I am. Like, I like to take care of myself, but because I be so focused on so many things, I tend to neglect certain parts of me. Like, I'm not the type of girl that gets her nails and feet done every single week. Like, I wish I
Who's
could.
got the monies for that?
Bro,
not me.
Ask the girls. Ask the girls who do it, because I want to know.
They got...
No, literally, I need one. I've been looking for one. I need a good one. That's what it is. But anyways, but yeah, like I'm not that type of girl, but I would love to be, you know, if I had that flexibility, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, so like I said, like I'm not perfect, but I definitely make sure now I'm really learning how to take care of myself and, you know, ground myself and not rush myself, you know. So that's why I think the biggest thing when it comes to inspiring is just be honest. Like, just be yourself. Like, even if others may take it a certain way or they may not like it, but that's kind of something that I said to my mentee for the Grammy U. Like, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just be straight up with you. Like, you know, because she's my mentee, she's graduating Berkeley, I think next year, this year. No, I think next year. And, you know, she's 22. So she's not like, we're still kind of like in the same age bracket.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's trying to get her foot in the door when it comes to music, or I would say she already has, because, you know, she goes to Berkeley. Berkeley is a very nice, you know, school to go to when it comes to music and learning about the music industry and all. And I was straight up with her. I was like, look, I haven't been doing this for that long. So me to even be a mentor at this point, I don't know. I don't know how I can help you. Like, I can try to, but like, there's just still so much I'm learning myself, because like I said, like I feel like I learned late in life. Like I still feel like I'm 21.
Girl,
you know, like, and that was what, like 4 years ago. Yeah. You know, I still feel like I'm 21. I still feel like I'm that girl that graduated college. Like, I'm still like, I don't know. I feel like after the pandemic, like things kind of like went a little bit backwards, you know?
Same.
So I'm still learning a lot, and I don't come off to people like I know a lot, but I do know a lot. Sometimes people get caught off guard, but that's why sometimes when people that be knowing a lot and they be like, yeah, you didn't know that. I'll be like, yeah, I did know.
Yeah, I did actually.
But I just don't, I don't really like.
You're humble about it. You don't need to show out. Like.
Yeah, exactly.
Except when you need to show out, then you show out.
Oh no, of course. Because that's when people get caught off guard. But
yeah.
Other than that, yeah, like I would just say, you know, you really have to be yourself. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly, because that's what makes you as a person. Because all of it, we're humans.
Yes.
Like, if you're religious, like, let's talk about like Adam and Eve.
Right.
You know, like they weren't perfect, especially
Right.
Eve. Like, want to like talk about like woman wise, like she wasn't perfect.
Right.
So why should I?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly. And I feel like there is this notion of perfection that is perceived through social media. And I feel like over the last like 5 to 10 years, it has been, I feel like, a consistency of we show something, but we don't show who we are. We put out an image, but maybe it's not exactly representative of us. You know, with all your music, with the modeling, with the networking, et cetera, like, what's your relationship with social media currently, or how is your relationship with social media in general?
I use it because I have to.
Ooh, same, same. Oh, that's fire.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I don't mind social media. Social media does its thing, but at the end of the day, like, social media for some people, it really can create an issue. You know, I don't got an issue with social media. I just be lazy sometimes about having to do so much, like posting and all that kind of stuff, and the marketing, like, oh, that stuff drives me insane.
So you're looking at it from a business tool perspective, opposed to like just chilling, posting pictures, having fun.
If I was not doing a music career and I was just living my life as is, like, delete. Oh my God, I would live off the grid. Like, I really would. Like, I don't care. Like, I really would. Like, I wish I could, and I would.
Yes,
you know, like maybe when I'm a little bit older, I'll do it. I don't know. We'll see. But like, because I tell people all the time, like, if I wasn't doing music, like, at this point in my life, even if, you know, I'm young, but it don't matter, like, I literally would go to another country, maybe Cuba or any other country, create a restaurant out there and live off the grid. I don't care. And live my life just like that, you know?
Because
like,
I feel like you know what your fulfillment comes from, and it's not from comparison, it's not from materialism, it's not from looking at other people's lives and posts. It comes from within, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, again, like, social media, that's my thing. Like, with social media, because I do look at it from a business standpoint, which is why I really do be picky about who I follow.
Yeah.
Like, I be feeling bad sometimes when I'm like, oh, this person just followed me. I don't know them like that, but I feel like they're supporting me. Let me follow them back.
Yeah.
But now I'm at a point, no offense, but I'm at a point where now, like, I'm going to unfollow some of y'all.
You ain't getting a follow from La Rosa, all right? But still follow her, please.
Yeah,
like,
please. Like,
please, she deserves it.
I'll answer the DMs. I'll answer the DMs. But, and I'm just saying it because at the end of the day, like, where I'm at, I really just want to follow people that are really positive and that are creating some sort of impact in their life. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like, I'm not talking about, oh, you're going out there trying to get your master's, your PhD, which is great and all, it's admirable. Yeah. But I'm just saying in all, like, I like to follow people that carry themselves a certain way, because that's when I'm watching these people on social media on how they're living their life and the things that they're saying and how they carry themselves, that helps me. And also is like a reminder for me, you know?
Yes.
So that's where I look at social media in a positive way.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I be telling people all the time, like, when people be sending me stuff from the shade room, they're like, oh, you don't follow it? No. Because I
why negativity. Yeah, negativity breeds more negativity.
Yeah, exactly. You know? So and again, I look at social media like a business standpoint. So why follow like things that are like not really, like, doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah.
No offense to the creators of Shade Room, but that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And you know, anyone listening in, don't take social media so seriously. Like, it is there as a tool. It's there to be used healthy, in a healthy manner. If you have a business, et cetera, et cetera. If you don't, all right, you can still use it, but don't take everything you see to heart. Don't compare yourself so much. Like, I struggle going social media right now. Sometimes it's hard for me to go on and being like, like I said, the last year I'm rebranding, I'm not putting anything out. And then I go on and I see 900 people doing all these amazing things. But at the same time, it's just a perception. Yeah. Yes. And what were you going to say?
I said that's where you have to remind yourself.
Yes, exactly. Remind yourself of where you're at in your journey. And how you're going to get to your highest point. You know what I mean? I think it's that point of when you start doing the self-comparison, which is something that I struggled with heavily when I started diving into social media, because I just feel like there really is so much you can compare yourself to and so much that you can not feel good about. But when you start to perceive it as a tool, and when you start to be like, this really doesn't matter at the end of the day. I
Mhm.
mean, numbers are numbers, but generational change, fulfilling a self-purpose and carrying that on to inspire other people, that's what really, really matters.
Yeah, and everything else will fall into place. Like you want numbers, like that will come.
Def.
Just make sure you're doing something good, you
And
know, for
being
them.
genuine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like the numbers will come. And same thing with money. Money will come.
Yep.
Like,
Exactly.
don't stress it, you know. But yeah, so that's how I look at it as.
Yeah. And we did touch on it earlier in the show, but you know, being an artist, choosing to go down this path for you in 2020, I know for me it was a little bit of a switch over from like, oh, okay, I want to speak, I want to make change, I want to be a poet, I want to do this, to like, oh wow, I really have to be looking at this in a business perspective.
Mhm.
I really have to figure out my investments. I have to figure out finances. I got to get this, and this set up. Do you feel like you had that point in time as well where you're like, oh shit, like there's a lot of financial investment that goes into this?
Yeah.
And then how do I balance that out? And like, I don't know if you work a full-time job, if you work part-time, if you don't, if you balance it, but how do you kind of go about that portion of artist business life?
I think I really tapped into that this year.
Yeah.
This year I was
it's
like...
a process.
Yeah. This year, especially when I started working with my friend, again, my publicist, Talia, that was where, like, I remember our first meeting, she was like, yeah, there's going to get a point where we're going to have to find an investor. And I'm like, oh my God.
An investor?
No,
like,
literally.
What?
Like, I was like, oh my God, investor. Yes, you're right. Like I was like, you know, like,
you're like, oh yeah, that thing, money. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, literally, because, and she just put things in perspective for me from a business standpoint. And I was like, nah, this girl, right? Like, yeah, like this is getting serious. Like this is, now I'm getting to a point where I'm like, yeah, like the money, like the more, the way I look at it as in the music industry, right? If you're like just starting off, the more like success you're having, or the more you put into it, and the more you're seeing how it's like, how more people are noticing you, the more money like you're gonna have to like start putting in when it just comes to marketing, when it comes to the branding.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, like in a sense, like if you want, let's say like record labels to recognize you, okay, you have to start treating yourself like you're one of those record label artists.
Right.
Or
even
those
if you
top
don't
artists.
have all those millions of
Even
dollars
if you
yet.
don't, exactly.
Right. You portray yourself like,
you have to portray it in some aspect. You have to, you know, and that you have to play that role in a sense. And that's something that Talia always, you know, really spoke to me about. And that was something I always had to ingrain in my head. Yeah. You know, which it kind of sucks sometimes. I don't want to say it sucks. It's just something you have to learn how to balance, because as an artist, all you want to do is be creative. All you want to do is be free. You don't want to worry about the business stuff.
Everything else is so stressful, but at the same time, it's like that's how it's successful.
That's
you know,
and you have to be mindful of it. You have to keep that in mind, and that's where, like, you know, someone like me, I don't really have that many people right now on my team. I know it's going to continue to grow. Yeah. But Talia is a really big aspect to my team, because she has helped me a lot compared to other people. Yeah. Who has said they wanted to help me and they didn't.
Isn't it special when somebody,
Sorry, not to do that, but...
No, you can do that again, whoever you are. No, but for real, like, when people say, because you know how many people have said, oh, Jessie, your show, this, and this. And then when I'm down and out with no team, no episodes coming out, how many people hit me up? How many people asked to, you know what I mean? And then there's really that core sense. People, shout out my team right now. That will
you have
really,
a lovely team.
Thank you so much. That will really step out. They'll come out. They'll come in, and they'll really make it happen. And they show up for you when you need somebody to show up. When other people just say, "Oh yeah, I'll be there," and then they never show up.
Never show up. Yeah.
There's a difference, and everybody listening in realize that within your personal life, your business life, artistic life. There's a difference between genuine people. So.
Yeah, no, there is, and that's why I'm like, again, like. The other people have came into my life and have said that they wanted to try to help me. And now that all of a sudden I have someone that really has been helping me, now they're like kind of maybe feeling a way about it, or others are, I don't know, like people just be weird sometimes. Yeah. And so that's just how I can nicely say it.
But we still keep moving.
No, yeah, of course you keep, you continue to move. And that's why I'm very grateful to learn the things that I'm learning now when it comes to that, like, you know, because at the end of the day, like, okay, like come next year, the numbers are going to be high. Right. The expenses are going to be high. Right. And does it stress me out? Yeah. Yes. Because at the end of the day, like I still have to kind of figure out how to invest in my career, which is why I did have a 9 to 5, which is why, I did do other things. But it also gets to a point too as an artist where the 9 to 5 ain't gonna do it anymore.
Yep.
And that's where you really have to hold on to your faith.
Exactly.
And be a risk taker. And I think now I'm just stepping into that. I'm a little bit scared at times to like take certain risk, and and that's what I'm trying to learn now. Especially I would say like towards the end of this, I would say around the summertime is when I really started to really like dig deep and be like, like we're gonna have to really take some risks now, because if this is what's truly meant for us, then this is what this is what we want to do, then we really have to like try to figure out how we're gonna make things happen. And then of course money is always gonna be the concern, but at the end of the day, so that's why I was saying like the money's always gonna come. But obviously like now you really, as an artist, you always have to treat yourself like a business standpoint. And that's what I be telling people all the time. Like, especially with this music scene, I don't mind being friends with people in the music scene. I don't mind. I'm a very friendly person. I like to be, have friends and stuff like that and have close people. But at the same time, I don't mind having a lot of friends now, But I've always been someone that's always known a lot of people, or even now I would say I feel like that's always going to be a thing because that's who I am. But at the end of the day, like, I still would treat you business like if we work together. Right. But sure. If we end up through the business relationship, or professional relationship, I would say, if we end up, developing a connection with each other, which is, whether it's like platonic or even romantic, but I would say more so platonic, because romantic, no, that's outside of it. But platonic wise, then like, okay, like it's, like you and I, like, I don't mind, like I'm open to that. But it's just with the experience I've had this year, I've had to really like kind of like take a step back.
What you make me think, and I just have to shout out my operations advisor because he always be saying this, but it really is busy over buddy. And it's like, which one are you when you're with somebody? Are you being busy with them? Are you working with them? Are you building with them? Or are you just being buddy and you're kind of wasting time, wasting energy, talking about things, but nothing's coming to be. And there's a fine line and a fine balance between the two of those things. There is. I feel like as women, we really do have to work harder at realizing the line between busy and buddy. I actually meant to say this earlier in the show, and I feel like our conversation got so deep. I had a quote written on here from Selena. I didn't know that you were inspired by Selena. Oh, I was. So I think it's so beautiful. So I would just like to read it because I feel like it really wraps together a lot of things that you're doing currently in your life and what's going to be coming for the future of 2024. So this quote says, "I want to be remembered not only as an entertainer, but as a person who cared a lot, and I gave the best that I could. I tried to be the best role model that I possibly could." And that's what Selena said. And like, I just felt like that even when I wrote this, we hadn't had a conversation. We didn't talk on the phone. I didn't know, but that's how manifested the universe is. And when you start to, really follow your purpose, it's like, I feel like I was already feeling your vibes before we came on today. And like, when I was looking at things, like, that's the one that I picked. And like, and from everything that you said, you are literally not only being remembered as an artist, not only being remembered as a beautiful soul, a singer, but somebody who is literally a role model and inspiring those younger than you, who in the future, there's going to be fans coming up to you like, Yelena, or La Rosa, if I didn't hear your music, I would be dead. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have survived. That is the type of impact that you have and that you're going to continue to have. And I see some tears in your eyes, but like, girl, I mean that from my heart and my soul. I truly admire you. You're a beautiful woman. And, you are literally going to make generational change in this world. So I just need to like prophesize that on you because it's true.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you.
And we're gonna wrap it up because we've been really chopping it up. We've been getting into it, and I can't give you guys too much. You gotta go check out La Rosa. You gotta hit her up. Yes. You gotta go to her shows, etc. But is there anything big coming up for you in 2024, or anything under wraps? Anything you want to put out there coming up in 2024?
Well, I would say, this is probably gonna go into 2024. Like the Grammy Mentor is going into 2024 as well. So I'll be doing that until I think it's like till May is when the program ends. And then The Boston Music Awards is happening this month, literally next Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yelena was the 2022 Boston Music Awards Latina Artist of the Year. Shout
Thank you.
out.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Are you nominated again?
I'm nominated again this year.
Hey!
So yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's next Wednesday, so we'll see if we win or not.
Yes, girl.
But you know, I hope I win. But anyway. No. Yeah, so that's happening, and then come next year, I don't know, like all I can say is, you know, not to give too much, because you got to be a mystery sometimes.
Mhm.
More music for sure is happening.
Oh, so we
next
can
year.
expect new music?
Yeah, we can expect
Y'all
new
heard
music.
that? Okay. I'm so excited.
Yes, we can expect new music. Again, this new, stage name. Of course, people are still more than welcome to still call me Yelena. Like literally, my Instagram is Yelena Music. I don't know if I'm gonna end up changing it, but La Rosa is, she's here to stay. So that's moving
Hey.
forward. That's who I'm gonna be embodying as continue moving forward. But Yelena is always still a part of it. And what else? I don't know. I would just say that, yeah, more music, more videos, more probably, I don't know, praying brand deals. I'm praying for that.
Hey, we're gonna manifest that for you, girl.
Yes. I'm also praying, for music, for my songs to be like finally played in any movies or TV shows or whatever, commercials. So there's a lot that is gonna be happening, or I'm gonna be working towards starting now for it to happen come next year. And definitely more obviously shows too, and I would say I'm praying for shows to more so be happening outside of Massachusetts. So
okay.
I'm praying to have shows continue to do shows in Rhode Island, maybe we'll do shows in New York, do shows in Florida,
Yes, girl.
and so my hope is next year to be everywhere.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for the journey. I can't wait to watch you. I know that you're going to blossom just like we talked about earlier, rose out of concrete. You literally have come from struggle to bloom to get to success. And I do have one final question for you, a question that I ask all my guests on my show. But I am just wondering, as La Rosa, through everything that you've been through who you are now, today, what does it mean to you to be or have an old soul or any type of soul at all? What does that mean to you?
I mean, the way I look at it, as when people say old soul, I would say just someone that really understands the depth of humanity.
Yes, girl.
Just understands, why people the way they are, and really just tries to understand why you shouldn't take it personal, and why the way you need to walk into life is always giving people grace. Wow. But as also knowing to always stay in your power. And I feel and to also be yourself, humbly. I think that's the biggest thing, being an old soul. Because anyone that, I always gravitate towards people who are older than me. So whenever I talk to older people, especially people that are mature, because age don't mean, all the time that you're mature. But those that I do talk to that are older than me, that are mature minded, those are the things that they always talk about. Is just you just have to carry yourself in a way where, you don't care, but you also care, but you're not letting it affect you, right, and affect your entire being, know? And I feel that's just what an old soul is. It's really just looking at things, or if you're in a situation, you're looking at it, you're okay, well, this happened because X, Y, and Z, but I'm not going to beat myself down for it. I'm just going to take it as a learned lesson. One of my friends always would say to me, it's either a lesson or it's either a blessing. And that's just really what it means to be an old soul.
My gosh. I have no words. That was an amazing response. You just everything that you embodied today, all the conversation that we had, the open communication, open honesty, thank you so much for continuing to be you, because I know for you to be here today, for everything you came through, it wasn't easy, but you still continued and you persevered. And I just want to give you a chance to plug in your social medias.
Yes.
Let anyone know where they can reach you, reach out to you, follow you, etc., etc.
Yeah, of course. So you guys can follow me on Yelena Music. All my socials are on there, like my link trees on my bio. So you literally can click on there. That's where you can find my music, my YouTube channel, my TikTok page, whatever it may be. Everything's on there. And then feel free to, message me if I take long to DM to respond. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
You already know.
But it's not on purpose though. So, but Yelena Music is where you can follow me and connect with me.
Awesome. And everybody listening in, thank you so much for being here this week. This episode today really just fully encompasses what Old Soul Young World is about. It's about being able to talk honestly, being able to open up about your struggles, to understand that reaching your success is always an uphill climb, that you really do need to be operating under vulnerability, operating under honest awareness, and being able to be a humble person that knows their place and knows how to move forward without bringing anybody else down. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and make sure you guys tune in with me next week for another motivational episode of Old Soul in a Young World with your host, Jessie